Welcome aspirants, welcome to SRIRAM's YT channel on this one PYQ a day series. Today is the day of Indian society and that is why I'm here to discuss one previous year question which has appeared in Mains 2023. So in Mains 2023 GS paper 1, this question has appeared. Let's just jump into our question. The question is this, that do you think marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in modern India? For 150 words, 10 marks. A very interesting contemporary question where your opinion is being asked. Again, read the question again. Do you think, do you think that marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in modern India? The first three words are basically about your opinion. What's your opinion about this issue? The core thing here is marriage. There is a specific adjective associated with marriage, and that is sacrament. And the second most important word here is modern India. So, this is what they are asking you. It's an opinion based question. You have to give your opinion backed by data, backed by good reasoning. So we should look into this issue and start writing the answer. Many of you feel this challenge that while writing the answer 2 or 3 or 5 lines later on, you get distracted. So the good thing always is to have a formulation of the structure of the answer. Are you going to argue that yes, marriage is losing its relevance or sacrament as a value? Or do you argue, or you are going to argue that it is not going to lose simply this idea of the sacrament? It is not losing. There is no substantial amount of evidence available for this. So depending on how you argue, because remember, they are asking your opinion. You may argue either way, provided you argue well. So we can start with an introduction, building upon what they have said. What is specific in modern India, which is leading to the erosion of sacrament of the marriage as an institution? So marriage you can talk about under the influence of, you can start with introduction, under the influence of modernization, westernization, globalization. Marriage is definitely losing its character, or marriage is simply losing this idea that it is a sacred institution in modern and contemporary India. This could be an introductory part, that yes, you argue and accept, yes, it is losing its value. And the reasons you have given is simply modernization, westernization, and globalization, because of which this is happening. Remember, you have to write in 150 words. You have paucity of time and paucity of words there inside the examination hall. Always mimic the examination hall while you attempt an answer. तो यहां पे हम बात करेंगे कि yes, it is happening. This is one way of writing introduction. On the another way, contrary to this line of introduction, you can simply talk about marriage and what it is. Marriage is what? Marriage is nothing but a union of two consenting adults which has social, religious, legal sanction. This is marriage, which is at the center of family, which is at the center of family, particularly the orthodox heterosexual families that we know of. A man and a woman, these two will marry, they will have children, so that will constitute a family in the orthodox sense. At the center stage of family lies marriage. You can simply define marriage here and its role it plays in family, and how the, because of the social change that we see, this institution is evolving. You can argue that way also, because personally I am going to argue that yes, marriage is definitely losing its सैक्रेडनेस, इसको हम बोलते हैं डीसैक्रलाइजेशन. Desacralization, basically, the sacredness of an institution is simply leading towards or evolving into secular domain. So something which had the sanction on the religious books will move toward the secular domain, the courts, the constitution, the political setup, the social sanction behind it. इसे हम बोलते हैं desacralization. Definitely it is happening and there is enough evidence to support it. Be it widow remarriage, which was in India in Hindu tradition, which was seen something as non-sacred. There was stringent punishments also prior to the religious and social reforms that we have seen in Bengal during the British Raj. तो विडो रिमैरिज की अगर हम बात करें, सेम सेक्स रिलेशनशिप के बारे में बात करें, लिव इन रिलेशनशिप के बारे में बात करें, marriage age, then that is increasing. So age of marriage is also increasing. People are getting married at the age of 30, 35. There is also an interesting phenomenon of elderly marriages or elderly remarriages when one partner will die. So elderly is also for in search of support. They are marrying and their children also support such decisions. So this is also happening. People are living in the form of civil union. They are not even calling it a live-in relationship. They are completely delinking the sacred part from the institution of marriage. So this is also happening. The civil union, the same-sex marriages, the live-in relationship, the age of marriage, premarital sex also, that is also there. Premarital sex is also there, plus this idea that physical proximity or simply that physical part, which is a deeply integral part of the marriage, is basically being de-linked from the marriage in educated, modern, urban segments, few segments of Indian society. So that is something also which is very, very important. The monogamous relationship, the monogamous sexual relationship is under strain, is under questions. So married affairs are also on the rise, divorce rates are rising. So all these factors are there, which tells you that definitely marriage is subjected to desacralization. Now, while you argue this part, the examiner will be convinced that yes, you accept that marriage is losing as a sacrament. But let me remind you that most of the marriages in India, more than 90% of the marriages in India are still arranged marriages. No matter how great we talk about this sex and love revolution in India, in the urban Indian landscape, still majority of the marriages are happening in arranged route, through arranged route. They are still, they involve a lot of or substantial religious sanction. Still in small town India, in village India, marriage को आज भी एक डोमिनेंट सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशन के तौर पे देखा जाता है, जिसके पीछे बहुत बड़ा बैकिंग होता है रिलीजन का. So it's an expression in religiousness in a way. Still, you see within marriages, women are holding vratas for their husbands' long lives. जैसे करवा चौथ है. So still, majority of the Indian households, the Indian marriages they are simply are not subjected to divorce. India has one of the lowest divorce rates in the world. So marriage is still sacred. Depends upon with whom you are asking this question. In rural India and in small town India, definitely marriage is a sacred. In urban India also, because we are looking into revival of what? Traditional culture. There is a revival of traditional culture these days. So again, the old concepts which were dominant in the previous centuries are again coming back. So marriage is definitely not losing this sacredness that we are talking about. क्योंकि majority of the marriages हो रही हैं वो आज भी arranged marriages हैं. They are not subjected to divorce. They are subjected to continuity, and that's why marriage is still a sacred institution. But something has changed, right? Something has changed, which you will right in the third para, and that is that marriage is not subjected to desacralization in totality, social change, and that is why social change is a very, very important thing to understand. In India, social change is always slow. We evolve, our institutions, our values, they evolve. There is no revolution kind of change. क्रांति नहीं होती यहाँ evolution होता है. तो marriage is definitely subjected to evolution, which looks like desacralization. So same sex marriages also will be conducted through the singing of the Vedic hymns. वहां पे भी proper सत्य जो मूवमेंट होता है, फेरेज होते हैं, वहां पे होगा. देयर विल बी ए प्रीस्ट हु विल बी चैंटिंग द इनकेंटेशंस और चैंटिंग द मंत्रास. सो यहाँ पे ये चीज को हमें ध्यान रखना, इवोल्यूशन हो रहा है ऑफ द मैरिज, नॉट desacralization. So evolution is evident. More and more people are looking for marriages or so-called love marriages within their own caste, within their own religious community. और compatibility के ऊपर ज्यादा फोकस है, कंसेंट के ऊपर ज्यादा फोकस है, rather than duty bound relationship. But still, despite of modernization, westernization, globalization, rising individualism, woman empowerment, breakup of the joint families, still marriage is durable. Marriage is continuous. Marriage is something that we all look upon. People, even they are subjected to divorce, they seek comfort, they seek security in the institution of marriage. And with the rising religiosity in the Indian society, the relevance of the marriage is still holding. ये हम कंक्लूजन में लिखेंगे इस आंसर के. So the keywords, the answer will be in a way will be laden with keywords. There will be structure in the answer. In the first para, you will introduce by putting out कि marriage क्या होती है. Then you will talk about what is happening. Yes, there is a desacralization in a way which is visible through these examples, and then you will cite that no, still, despite of the fact that change in marriage purposes, marriage form, marriage nature, still marriage as an institution is holding up. और बाकी the rest which I have explained, you will write into that, and then you will conclude that social change in India is an evolutionary process which reflects India's commitment to religious tradition and our openness to evolve. That's how you write an UPSC mains answer. Thank you for giving me your time.